What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA Finals Game 3 preview on Happy Hour Hoops, the Triple H podcast. Can't believe we're already at Game 3. Series is tied 1-1. Celtics, Warriors, ready to get into it. Jake, you know that I'm nervous, about to pass out as always before these games. How are you feeling before Game 3 of the NBA Finals?
Understandably nervous. It's very fun. Huge game coming up tonight. I feel good. I'm excited, dude. It feels like game 2 was forever ago. Like the 2 days in between is just, it really throws me off, but it kind of builds up the tension nicely too. Like I feel like I'm noticing that. I'm sure you definitely feel it. It feels like it's probably been a year and a half since game 2, especially now switching settings and everything. But I'm excited about tonight. These two teams kind of blew each other out in at least one quarter basically of both these first two games. The Warriors huge third quarter, the Celtics huge fourth quarter in game 1. So maybe tonight is the first really they felt each other out a little bit and we get the heavyweight fight back and forth. How excited are you to see the Boston crowd and the Boston Celtics hosting an NBA Finals game? Aside from everything else about the game tonight, it's the first home playoff or home finals game in Boston since 2010, obviously 12 years. So you were a little bit younger back then, so it's a different feeling. So what does it feel like for that tonight?
Yeah, man, it's all the emotions today because last time the Celtics hosted a finals game, it was 2010. I wasn't even on Twitter at the time or any social media, so like just I'm sure younger Dunny would have loved to scroll the timeline and see the pictures of the Garden. I was looking at pictures of the Garden all set up at like 10 a.m. today. And then, seeing retro pictures of 2010 and then, a bunch of stuff from 2008 as well. It's just awesome, man. I wish I was there, obviously.
Oh yeah, always.
I went to a couple playoff games, so I can't be greedy. Don't regret anything not being there. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure the city is just absolutely electric today. The Garden is going to be jumping. Even the players are talking about, game 2 was ugly for the Celtics. Obviously, the Warriors won in blowout fashion. But all the guys in their post game, once they talked about the games enough and kind of went over what happened, they were like, we can't wait to get back to Boston. It's going to be special. It's going to be rocking. We got Nelly doing a halftime performance during game 3. Yeah.
Nelly's doing halftime?
Nelly's doing a halftime performance game 3 in the NBA Finals at the TD Garden. And Jason Tatum and Nelly go way back. They're boys. Jason Tatum has a lot of love for Nelly. So, watch out for a Jason Tatum masterclass tonight. I'm just saying.
Holy shit.
But yeah, we got all the vibes. Lit. We got Nelly. We got, the 2010 vibes.
That's right.
It's all back in Boston.
It's Nelly. It's the 2010. It's the 2008 vibes. Let's go all the way back. Yeah, true.
We're back there. Take a ride with me.
We have, Bill Walton's there.
Yeah, Bill Walton was walking in the building.
Shit. Where's is the legend there? That's really what we need to know.
I haven't seen Larry.
But he wouldn't. It would be him showing up in the crowd. It would be like, oh shit, Larry's here. And get the crowd like hyped up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Imagine that pop before the game if they show him sit. That's what I mean. That's always the hard part. But
Bill Russell's there. He goes to a good amount.
It's gonna be It's gonna be Paul Pierce is definitely courtside tonight for sure.
Paul Pierce is there. He's wearing
is KG there?
I'm not sure. I saw Paul Pierce wearing this sick like retro Celtics jacket. So yeah, I mean we got legends in the building. One of the most historic NBA arenas in the league. Yeah, all over my timeline. It's just Bill Walton just limping around. Literally ducking through door frames. Oh my God, Bill Walton getting on the subway. What a savage.
Bill Walton taking advantage of that legal, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, there's
Bill Walton just spent so much money at some random dispensary in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I wish I could shout it out. I honestly forget the name of it, but there is a dispensary like 45 seconds walking distance from the Boston Garden. We hit that up.
Oh yeah.
Probably jamming some Grateful Dead on the way in.
He's got some edibles for his court sides tonight. He's gonna be living the dream.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back to game 2. let's go back to game 2. Let's put our basketball caps on for a second, Dunny.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch this game live. I was watching Hell in a Cell live here in Chicago, which was extremely enjoyable. Do not regret that.
Yeah.
I would have been very upset watching this third quarter, knowing what I saw on my phone. So I want to know what it was like for you watching that game. What went wrong? Seemed like the first quarter was pretty much the same. I know there was referee issues. You can touch on that if you want, but realistically, it was a 2-point. It was 52-50 at halftime, and the Warriors just had a third quarter Warriors run, but actually finished the job this time. So talk me through what it was like on game 2 and what you saw from your guys, at least.
Yeah, so starting with the first half, I was super encouraged in the first quarter. I think Jaylen Brown had 8 points in about a minute and a half, buried 2 big threes. You know, he was getting to the basket easily for his next one. Like you mentioned, I mean, it was just kind of a tight game. End of the second quarter was a little disappointing. I think that's when the collapse started, but they were in it enough that it didn't seem like it was a collapse at that point. Ended the half down 2, which, you know, you already won the first game in Golden State. I'm sure most, if not all, Celtics fans were fine being down 2 at the half. Third quarter, the Warriors happened, man. I mean, they're such a good third quarter team. They were at home. Shots started falling. Klay started the game about as bad as you can start. I mean, he ended the game not playing great, but he hit some big threes in the third quarter. Steph obviously doing his thing. Draymond getting his hands all over this game, you know, rattling Boston Celtics players. You know, whether he did it within the rules or not, he did what Draymond does, and that's get under the skin of his opponents, makes his opponents make mistakes because of how physical he is. And, you know, at the very least, I can tip my hat to that and say Draymond did his job for the Warriors. I think Looney was their second or third leading scorer. It went Steph, Jordan Poole, Looney, which hurts, man.
Looney, how many? He had some crazy amount of points in the first quarter. I don't remember what it was. Wasn't
the
it?
end of the
like
game with 12
points? Oh, okay, maybe not. I don't remember who I was. Maybe I was thinking of something different. Looney though should not be. Looney just that's a problem in itself. Like without knowing what was going on, and that is Looney cannot be beating out Al Horford and Tice, and I mean, obviously a hobbled Robert Williams. There's a lot of more talk after that game. I saw chatter about how he just doesn't look right. Did that what you were seeing too? Like, is Robert Williams, is that an issue we should be worried about going into tonight? And about Smart too, because Smart did not have a good offensive game again. And he's obviously been hampered with every injury. Dude, that he's just beat up. Smart's just every like ailment, every bone and joint on Marcus Smart's legs are just hurt at this point because he's just been going hard through all sorts of injuries. So yeah, what does that look like? Is there a change that they can make there?
Yeah. So I kind of just touched on the Warriors and, you know, what they brought and how they were able to beat us. But that is kind of my biggest takeaway from the game is that ultimately I do think that the Celtics beat themselves because outside of Curry and Poole, like I said, the next leading scorer was Looney with 12. Like that should be, if you just read this, if you just read the Warriors stat line out loud, like you would think that you can, if you just saw that, you would think that the Celtics would have won this game. But no, because Marcus Smart had 2 points, Al Horford had 2 points, and you mentioned it, Robert Williams is basically non-existent, also had 2 points. You can't have a combined 6 points from 3 of your starters and expect to win any game, let alone a game in the NBA Finals against these Golden State Warriors. So, you know, disappointing from all 3 of those guys, Al, Smart, and Rob. Obviously, you know, Smart and Rob have dealt with an abundance of injuries throughout the playoffs. Rob, I think, is definitely hurting more than Smart is. Could it play a factor in Smart's game as well? Absolutely. But I think we have a bounce back game from Smart tonight. Rob, I'm just not sure. This might be the Rob that we get through the rest of the playoffs, which is scary and it's concerning a little bit because I think in that Miami Heat series, we're kind of just glad to have him. And we're like, okay, this is a guy who can play impactful minutes for us. And at the very least, he'll wreck some shit up. Like he'll block a shot, or he'll make Bam scared, or he'll make Jimmy scared, or his presence alone is enough to scare an offense. But I don't know, man. He has to go out on the perimeter so much in this series, and he is just laboring out there.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, Ime said before the game, everyone's healthy. we're sticking with the same starting lineup, so expect to see Robert Williams out there, but it's probably going to be a hobbled Robert Williams again, and I really don't know how to feel about that.
It's like the Ty Lue thing. Everybody's health. Everybody's injured. Everybody's playing. Like everybody's healthy, but they're not healthy. But you are in this moment. You are. It is Rob, and that's the thing is Rob has been great all year getting out to the perimeter. Right, like that man is a menace to guards. I love watching guards try Robert Williams. It's hilarious because early on they would always just think they could blow past him. Early on this season, even last season, like we've highly about Robert Williams for a lot longer than more people have been used to him because you saw the flashes of this defensively for so long. And this has been his most consistent effort this year. But in that regard, the Warriors are the biggest test he's ever had and doing that, especially in a playoff series. Like they punish your perimeter defense with how much movement they do and everything else and really test you. Like as good as Robert Williams is, this is the best like team in the NBA by far with their motion and everything else they do offensively and putting pressure on your guards or whoever is guarding around the perimeter. So if Rob's in those positions where he's guarding on the perimeter, he's getting a lot there. It's just a lot. It would have been a lot to ask of him healthy just because of the spots they try to bind you in and everything on the perimeter as it is. So you're just noticing it more because that's really where they do their damage. And it's unfortunate, but it worked. There were ways that they made it work in game one. This game two, it looked like it was more physical, whether that was referees, whether it was Draymond being this, which if you talk for weekend, it's been all over this week, good and bad. It's just been a hell of a week. And what do you think, Draymond? What is the ovation going to be like for Draymond when he touches the ball tonight too? Because I'm sure that the Boston crowd, our TD Garden crowd, is going to have some kind words for Draymond.
Yeah, something like that. Definitely some kind words. You can expect Draymond Green to get the full Kyrie Irving treatment. Wow. Possibly worse. Possibly worse.
It's the finals.
It's the NBA finals. That was a first round series with Kyrie, and it ended in a sweep. So, you know, and we let them go on in the Barclays Center. So we didn't even have the elimination game in Boston. Kyrie got off easy, if you ask me. Draymond, I think, is in for a world of hurt in these next two games. And I mean that literally and figuratively because the crowd's going to give it to him. But I expect guys like Smart, Al, Grant Williams, Jaylen Brown. Like you were talking about at the beginning of this preview, you know, the 2 days in between, we've kind of been itching. It seems like it's been so long since we've seen these two teams play. Think about the amount of time Al Horford, Grant Williams, Jaylen Brown. Like Jaylen Brown's probably watched that clip of Draymond Green trying to pull down his pants after they got tangled up like four or five different times. Smart knows that he only had 2 points in that game and kind of got punked by Draymond. Al Horford said, you know, that stuff that Draymond didn't get to me. Whether it did or not, he's saying it didn't, and he promised to be better. And then Grant Williams has to watch a clip of Draymond calling him a bozo all week. He's like, Grant is no bozo. Grant talks. He can be goofy.
Grant is no bozo.
Grant is no bozo. Put that on a T-shirt. But yeah, man, I think the crowd will not be receptive to Draymond. He's gonna hear a lot of "fuck you, Draymonds." The chants will be ripping and roaring. He's gonna get the boo every time he touches the ball. I mean, we don't really have to even help for him to miss his free throws. He does that on his own. So it's going to be hostile, and he better be ready for it because, honestly, he kind of asked for this, and it's coming.
He loves it. He'll embrace it.
I know. Sure, that's the thing. He might embrace it more than Kyrie does.
But he still could because he's going to embrace it, he's going to be very high energy as well. And that can work against him, too, if he does get rattled, if this does an early lead for the Celtics.
Maybe some charges,
Scott Foster, where is the double agent Scott Foster going to work his wet magic tonight? I really think it's just, you know what I really think it is? I've been going back and forth. Earlier in the day, I was like, okay, I feel good about the Celtics with Scotty boy in there. Then after that, I was tilted all the way over to the Warriors, where I was like, I don't know. Now I'm scared. Like, is he just coming in for the swerve? And they got, you know, it's a better story if the Celtics are down at home. And then I was like, you know what they want? It's a boring ass Wednesday night. They brought Scott in, so this is going to be a 3-point game by hook or by crook. We're getting like a 5-point game at halftime and a 5-point game in the last 2 minutes, without a doubt in my mind. Like, mark it down. I'm gonna start like I did in game one, where that one tweet, it was almost clairvoyant. I was too early. I'm gonna try to just mark the scores if the leads get too high, and guess when we'll be back to a close game. I think that's what his initiative is in there. If I'm putting my conspiracy hat on about Scott Foster tonight, what do you think about that? Would you be okay with that, considering the alternative of chancing at your side or the Warriors side?
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing, and I think, people, I think some Celtics fans were blaming the refs game one.
Yeah.
I never want to do that unless it's like one call at the end of a game and a wicked close game. The Celtics didn't lose game one because of the refs. I just don't like the ref shows. So, if we get a tight game and it's because of the referees, even if the Celtics win, I don't know. I'm going to have to let it play out to see how I feel about that. I just hate the ref involvement as a whole. Like, we don't need three trips to the monitor before halftime, like in game one, just all that stuff. So if Scott and his crew can, pick on Draymond a little bit, and other than that, kind of let the guys be physical, like we saw in game one, opposed to game two, and just the less calls, the better, the less trips to the monitor, the better, the less reversing technical fouls for some reason after a fast break. Like, I just don't.
What about the phantom foul? How did that get called? How did Jaylen Brown get that foul on Jordan Poole? You know what I'm talking about?
Like, yeah.
What are we even doing here? What are we doing here?
And then, of course,
there's nothing. There's nothing. Oh, no argument you could make.
I saw something. I wish I could shout out the person's username on Twitter. I forget, but someone tweeted like they really called a foul on Jaylen Brown for PTSD of Gary Payton II because of the Dylan Brooks hit. Like, just because this dude's in the air, it's automatic foul, and anytime he's up there now. Which honestly, I'm not going to give many props to many Golden State Warriors players in this series. Just a quick disclaimer if anyone didn't get that by now. But Gary Payton II, man, like, good for him. He came into game two, knocked down a couple threes. Obviously, it was getting to the hoop and missing layups, not getting touched and getting foul calls. But, man, breaking your elbow and then, kind of flipping the script in a month and a week or a month and a half, whatever it was from that Memphis series, that's pretty impressive. And coming in and playing this Boston Celtics team as one of the smallest guys on the court, you think he would have got picked on a lot more, which I think if he gets minutes tonight, the Jays will realize that they didn't do that enough. But, yeah, shout out Gary Payton II, man.
It was crazy to see how much of an impact he was able to have, like, with the lack of conditioning, whatever else he's battling through. I'm sure he's still in pain and everything else, too. Like, Jesus Christ, what a warrior. I mean, who else would you expect? I mean, his dad is one of the toughest people in NBA history, too. So he definitely wasn't raised to not go to war like that. So game three, besides Scott Foster thoughts and anything else, what are you looking forward to? Any bets? Anything else you're thinking about going into the game? Like I said, I'm predicting a close game, kind of half jokingly about the refs, but I also think that these two teams make such good adjustments. They've seen each other for 2 games. I think tonight is the night where we get the heavyweight fight in the at least the 3-game rubber match, and going into a critical game 4 on Friday, where that's going to be a pressure cooker either one way or another. You know how I love my game 4s. So I think that we're going to get a really close game tonight. I think the stars are going to come out. I think Jalen and Jason are going to feel very comfortable playing at home rather than on the road in their first 2 games. I mean, that's a tough ask. Your first 2 finals games on the road, like, they're going to be much more comfortable at home. They're going to have more of that energy. But this Warriors team, the Warriors runs on the road hit a little different when it's like the stunts, like the loudness of Chase/Oracle is one thing, but the stun silence is a whole other thing too. So that's always I think this is gonna be a battle back and forth. I'm also wondering if we're due for a big Klay Thompson game at some point.
I
And
wanted
that's
to
what
bring
I'm
that
worried
up.
about too. So what is it? What are you thinking?
Yeah, one of my last points I want to make here is just that. So I'll get to Clay in a second, but it has to do with this. Steph has really been the only consistent player in this young series here for both teams. Like I think Tatum scored well in game 2, didn't do really anything else that well in game 2. He played like he made good plays with the basketball in game 1, didn't shoot well at all. Jalen, has been below average. Wiggins, Clay, all those guys. Steph had 34 in game 1, 29 in game 2. He had 3 steals in game 2. He's getting teammates involved. He's really not being rattled by this elite Celtics defense that has been able to take the star players out of games when they need to. And it's encouraging in some ways that if we can just slow down Steph, we might be all right and we should be able to wrap this thing up. But the other thing is, I know they have other guys that can get hot, and the fact that they haven't yet is scary. Like, I'm talking about how
That's
I
true.
think Jaylen Brown's going to have a big bounce back game tonight. Like, how about Klay Thompson? Like, this dude lives for the moment too, and he has shot so poorly in this series. It's bound to happen. Maybe Wiggins won't happen because he's kind of a tweener in this series. He has to deal with the Jays covering him, and he also has the assignment to cover them. So if Wiggins never shows up, I wouldn't be surprised. But if Clay gets going and Steph has the games that he's been having, that's where I'm worried. But it's I don't know. I don't know if I should be encouraged that Steph's really the only guy beating us, or if I should be worried because Clay could come on at any moment. What's your read on that?
I think their defense on Clay's been pretty good. I think that's part of
too.
the thing too, is that Clay getting loose in the last 2 series are against teams like Dallas, a great defensive team, whatever. They're not the Celtics though. And so in the big moments when he could get loose, I just don't know how he does it against this Celtics team. They've got so much size, and they defend the 3-point ball really well. I mean, the Warriors are hitting tough shots at some points too. I mean, early on in game 1, it was obviously there were some times where they were having miscommunications and such, but this team's perimeter defense is still pretty good. But I think it's just a matter of time. Like Clay's going to be able to hit tough shots in a game too, eventually. So I think, like I said, I think that this is going to be the night where the stars come out. And I think that maybe Clay is the guy that goes off as the secondary guy for the Warriors. And it's a Splash Bros game, but Poole, I think on the road in his first game is going to have and you know what? He put up all these points in the third quarter and shit when they were already up. So I still don't believe that he's really ready for the big time yet. Let me see him start hitting these threes like this when it's to go up by 4 or they're down by 7 and he needs to hit it. Like that's a different moment than hitting it up when you're up 10. You know what I mean? Like that big
from
flurry
half court
that
at
he
the buzzer.
hit. Yeah, like okay, you pulled one out of your ass and then you got hot when your team was already up decently. It's just I want to see it tonight, especially on the road. That's a big game, big moment for him. And like Smart's gonna feel like the adrenaline that Smart has is gonna feel good too, obviously. For him, I think he's gonna have a better shooting night and everything else at home. Like it's the classic thing of role players playing better at home. He's gonna feel more energized, everything else. Maybe Al will have a better. Why was Al? Now, was there not opportunities for him to shoot like he did in game 1, or what was that? Because he should not only be taking 4 shots in a game or whatever he ended up with. I think it was 4 shots. He went 1 for 4.
Yeah, he did go 1 for 4. The thing that sucks is I usually watch these games twice. I was so beat up about game 2. I didn't watch it back. But what I got from watching it the first time was they were trying to find Al on the perimeter again. And I think the Warriors, that was their biggest adjustment. They were like, we can't let Al Horford beat us. He had 26 points in game 1. A lot of it came from behind the 3-point line. The first play of the game, he got behind the 3-point line and Draymond tied him up for a jump ball. So I think they really were just emphasizing that. Like, we can't let Al Horford beat us from the outside. And then, the times that he got it inside, 4 shots, made 1 of them. I mean, that part's on him, obviously, but I do think Ime and the Celtics and the Jays need to do a better job of getting him in some pick and roll actions. Have Steph or Clay switch on to Al, and that's barbecue chicken. Like, light that matchup up. If Gary Payton II's in the game, get Al Horford the ball on the block. Even Draymond tonight, like I want to see some post ups on Draymond and show him who's boss. Like he has size.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, that's.
I
A good
think he needs
point.
to be more aggressive. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
think he needs to
he
be more
said that in the
aggressive.
post game. He said, we need to be better game 3. I need to be better game 3, and I will be.
That's
So
good.
he said he talked the talk. Now it's time to walk the walk. And yeah, I mean, going back to where we started, like 2 points from Smart, 2 points from Horford. Honestly, I'll give Williams the pass, Robert Williams the pass. He played 14 minutes, but Smart, your starting point guard, and Al, your starting center. That's unacceptable to me.
For sure. So looking into tonight, let's get ready to wrap up here. You can go. You gotta get your pregame rituals in. I want to give you that time.
Thank you.
I don't know what those are. I'm not going to ask you on here. I'm sure you have some weird things. You probably got like a Paul Pierce like sock or something. I don't know, bro. I do some. I don't know what's going
sock.
on.
That'd be
Paul
sick.
Pierce
I don't
sock you
have
put
Paul
on.
Pierce socks.
Yeah, like I'd be like a Paul Pierce sock on one side and then just like a green Nike sock on one. I don't know. We all had weird shit. I wore a couple years ago the Bills, the first year that they were hot off. I have a Bills Mafia shirt that was just like a table broken and it just said Bills Mafia
sick.
under it. It was sick. I wore it every single game that whole season. It was my good luck charm. Did not end well. So then you gotta switch it up. So it's like a seasonally thing for me. Like my weird superstition is usually like year by year. I try to do something new.
I was just looking around my room to see if I could tell you like the weirdest thing I have in here as far as Celtics memorabilia go. And I have a poster of one of the early 2000 Celtics teams and Gary Payton in a Celtics jersey is on
it. That's so weird.
Gary Payton and Paul Pierce.
That's amazing.
But no, my rituals are I'll tell the people a little bit about my rituals, and then I'll give some prop bets before we go here because I got a couple I like tonight. But I'm sorry, I'm a little hoarse right now. I'm just so nervous.
You're not. Yeah, it's okay. It's understandable.
All right, I'm good. Yeah, so I actually tweeted out before we hopped on this game preview that I gave my Jason Tatum jersey a pep talk, and I haven't done that before, so that's a new one that I brought in. But I do like to bring rally towels that I got from different games down to the couch when I watch with me, and I'll kind of place them on the back of the couch while I watch. Always have some sort of Celtics jersey on. I've been rolling with the Tatum jersey. Has been pretty lucky these playoffs, so I've been wearing the Tatum. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I like having the towels down there. I always have some sort of Celtics gear with me. Me and my dad sit in certain seats. He's always in the recliner.
Do you switch it up if it's going bad though?
I'll stand up if it's going bad, and then just
I'm a big
berserk
stander.
tweaker.
I'm a big stander, honestly, the whole game.
Yeah.
Like, both Bills playoff games, I don't think I sat, or I had like a bar stool at my parents' house. That was really nice because then you could kind of like sit.
Yeah, you can just get up.
Right up.
You're like already elevated anyway. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But I can't like sit back in a chair or do anything.
Oh, I'm never sitting back. I'm like that image when the guy sits up for a game of 2K. Like that's me the whole game.
Yeah.
Like I don't think my shoulder blades have touched the back of my couch during a Celtics playoff game.
Yeah, I would be surprised about that. All right, so let's get into some props. I guess predictions. Anything else? I could start you one off. This is just the FanDuel boosted prop. Ooh. But Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to each score five first quarter points is plus 150, and I took that.
That's a lock, I think.
I think so. I think they can both hit 2 threes in like the first 4 minutes, and then you already hit.
Jaylen had 8 in like the first 2 minutes the other night.
Yeah, so that's one of my props. What are you thinking?
Jaylen alone, I like over 23.5 points. He had 17 in game 2, which is disappointing, but he had most of those in the first half and then obviously didn't play in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I really like Jaylen tonight for a couple of reasons. I think he's someone who, after he shoots poorly, really, really locks in. And even if he doesn't have like a huge night, he shoots very well. So I think you can expect a lot of Jaylen shots to go in tonight. Also, I think he's really pissed off that he let Draymond get in under his skin and in his own head, because even though Jaylen really didn't admit that's obviously what happened, I think he's a go out there and prove it guy. So I like Jaylen's points tonight. Also, super capable of scoring 24 points. I mean, this is a guy who's already posted 40 in the playoffs. And then my other one, who is a guy who hasn't showed up in a while, but Grant Williams over 5.5 points. I just can't really stand when they put Grant Williams' point total this low. I think it's criminal, but I get it. He would have hit it last game. He had just 6. So we would have just barely hit it. He hasn't really showed up big since the Milwaukee series. You know, we had a few glimpses here and there in the Heat series. I think he's due. Grant Williams loves playing at home. So yeah, lock in those two. Grant and Jalen both over on points. My third that, you know, I don't feel fantastic about, but I'll still give it is Marcus Smart points, rebounds, and assists because, like you mentioned, and how I feel, I think he needs to get his hands all over this game. And you know, TD Garden, Marcus Smart, NBA Finals, Defensive Player of the Year. Let's make it happen.
All right, I like that. Let's will some Marcus Smart goodwill into the world here. There was another one I was looking at here, and now I'm trying to find it. I had it all locked in here. Oh, this is it right here, and it was going off my theory earlier. If the stars are going off, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all 4+ made threes is plus 2,200. But if if this is just like the shooting affair we got, but those guys are the ones going off, I could see all that going off. 4 is a lot. I kind of like him better at 3. I wonder what those odds are, but 4 is interesting there.
That is interesting.
But just even a combination of, if you think one of these teams is going to win, bet on those two guys over on their points or over on their threes, because that's the formula tonight. Like it's going to be good shooting. All right. Prediction wise, I think I would pick the Warriors to cover, and the Celtics are going to win by like 2 points, and this is going to be a ridiculous game. I think that is Scott Foster's job. Keep this close at all costs.
You know who I'm picking to win it. I also think it's going to be close. Not sure point total here. I have Celtic spread, so you know I hope they cover. But I also think, you know, what you're saying could be completely on brand. But my thing, and I do wish the games were closer, but it's so crazy because you think the spreads are like, you know, good, and I like them some games, but pretty much since the Milwaukee series for the Celtics, we haven't even seen like a relatively close game.
No,
like game 1 was
so weird,
close, and it seems like it was down to the wire, but the Celtics ended up winning by 12. Last game, obviously, the Warriors blew out the Celtics. So, yeah, maybe stay away from the spreads for the rest of the finals. But you're right. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Celtics win a tight one. And I also think that the stars show up tonight. Klay, Steph, Jalen, Jason. All the feels, baby. The NBA Finals are here. Let's go.
Let's get it. All right. Thank you for tuning in with us. We'll be back later for Spaces here. So get post-game. See how that goes after what
post-game Spaces.
What it will be for sure a fun affair in Game 3 tonight. Boston NBA Finals back in Boston. It's gonna look great. It's gonna be a big time atmosphere. Was Mike Breen back for Game 2?
No, he's here. He's ready tonight.
Mike Breen is back tonight. Thank you, Donnie.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard earlier in the week, though. I hope that's correct. Let me just fact check that on the air real quick, because I can't. Mike Breen is officially back to call Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. Let's go.
Beautiful. That's the biggest news. That's the best news we could leave on. So thank you, everybody. Follow us at Heavier Hoops on. Subscribe wherever you get the podcast. Enjoy the game.